That's a fact. And no matter how unachievable that goal or dream might be, if you keep practicing and keep working towards it, one day you get very close.
So what? Nobody cares. Train harder.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Jake Paul is said to be working alongside Tyson Fury as he gets ready for the showdown with Anthony Joshua. According to Fury, Jake is steadily moving toward his long-term goals, and this fight represents one of the biggest leaps in that progression. He expects Jake to push himself to the limit, describing the matchup as a true 50-50 test, because Jake has evolved far past his YouTube origins and now trains and competes with real purpose.
And even if you don't actually achieve the biggest target in your life, you might get close to it, so it's definitely worth pursuing. But someone who doesn't have goals and doesn't have a target.
Jake Paul has been grinding hard in training, insisting that his ultimate goal is to become a world champion. He's treating this camp with full seriousness, locked in on discipline, conditioning, and ironing out every flaw in his game. Jake is convinced that all the work he's putting in will pay off, determined to show the world that he's far more than just a celebrity stepping into a boxing ring.
Not be treated like I'm Jake Paul or a famous person. No, like they treat me like I'm trying to become a world champion, which is exactly the case.
Tyson Fury believes Jake Paul actually has a legitimate shot at defeating Anthony Joshua, pointing at how much Jake has improved over time. Fury argues that people need to stop writing Jake off, saying he's evolved into a disciplined, serious fighter who's capable of catching seasoned heavyweights off guard.
Talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look.
Boxing has always been a blend of sport and business, and Barry Hearn makes that crystal clear when discussing Anthony Joshua. As a seasoned promoter, Hearn argues that Joshua should genuinely weigh the idea of facing Jake Paul, because at its core, boxing runs on financial opportunity. From his perspective, the money on the table is simply too significant to overlook. Hearn acknowledges that some fans may question the seriousness or competitive value of a matchup like this, but he notes that massive paydays often shape the choices fighters make. For promoters, athletes, and even audiences, a Joshua Paul bout has a potential to generate revenue far beyond the norm, enough that it can't be dismissed solely by traditional sporting logic.
He should fight Jake Paul. What's your view on that, Barry?
Money. Don't be silly. You know, I mean, you're mostly sensible, aren't you?
Mostly.
Of course, we're all purists at heart, but purism doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And boxing is a money business. And the day we don't accept that and then move on, we won't understand why certain things happen.
So if that fight's there next week and it's signable and they can do Joshua against Tyson Fury next year, take the Jake Paul fight in December, go and do it.
100.
Sports commentator Simon Jordan has offered his take on Jake Paul's unconventional rise in the boxing world. Jordan emphasizes just how unorthodox Paul's path has been. Going from online entertainer to someone calling out elite-level fighters isn't something the sport is used to seeing in traditional boxing culture. Careers are built slowly, years in the amateur system, steady development, and a gradual climb through increasingly tougher opponents. Jake Paul's fast-tracked, attention-driven route bypasses much of that structure, which is why it sparks so much pushback. According to Jordan, Paul's path challenges long-standing expectations about respecting the sport, facing legitimate competition, and whether a shortcut like this can truly hold up over time.
As a boxing purist, it doesn't sit well, but as a normal working class lad, I've been asked by builders, would you fight Jake Paul for 5 million quid? I never got 5 million quid for fighting anyone else in a fight, so it's the silliest question in the world. I've been retired 7 years, I'm still very confident if you give me 3 weeks to get off the couch, I'll probably still beat him with one hand. It's not, he's not a good fighter, so it's not even being disrespectful to him. As a YouTuber, as a presenter in what he does, he blows me out the water. That's his line of work, but he's stepping into boxing, another profession. Now, to call Alexa Canelo out, I think is disrespectful. To call Anthony Joshua out is lunacy, but we know why it's happening and why he does it.
Forget Jake Paul.
Forget Jake Paul.
A lot of tickets. Paul. I mean, Jake Paul's going to do what Jake Paul does. But Anthony Joshua, and with respect to you and what you did and didn't earn in your career, Anthony Joshua has earned a king's ransom.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be fiddled with this, does he? Yeah.
No, he doesn't. But again, all I keep seeing from people out there is, you know, when is enough enough? And I get that. But when you're retired at 33, 34, and you've got to make that last now, you've got more experience than me in this, dealing with a lot of footballers in the past as well, and business people who have to make a certain amount of budget last.
Even with all the criticism surrounding him, Jake Paul has undeniably helped multiple professional fighters secure the biggest paydays of their careers, a clear sign of the financial ripple effect he brings to boxing. Still, his behavior hasn't won universal approval. Many observers point out that Paul has a history of taking verbal shots at boxing icons and longtime professionals, often in ways that come across as disrespectful or intentionally provocative. This creates a strange dynamic within the sport. Paul injects massive attention and revenue, yet his style clashes with long-standing traditions, leaving veterans and purists torn between appreciating the money and disliking the method.
Want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive? Because I know that I will.
I'm so sorry for my English, but I have to. See, Jake Paul does lots of good things. He has a camp for kids where he, I guess, gives training and coaching and gloves and environment for kids in Puerto Rico. He helped lots of boxers to get the bigger purse than they deserve. He has done some good things. But, and you are kind of trying to be on his side, but then he says something like that. Like, you almost are on his side, and then he says, I want to fight Anthony Joshua and Canelo at the same night, or whatever. Jake, fighting Anthony Joshua and Canelo is not fighting Tyron Woodley or 60 years old Mike Tyson with Alzheimer's. Anthony Joshua is able to literally kill you. No doubt. If his mission is to kill you on the ring, he will kill you. You lost against Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury won against you. What Anthony Joshua? What Canelo, my friend? Canelo, you would need the liver replacement after Canelo fight. I promise you. I don't know. So stop doing that shit. Do the good things you are doing, and we will be on your side. Just stop saying crazy shit.
The discussion around a potential Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight goes far beyond the financial side of things. Comparisons to Gervonta Davis's exhibition with Paul highlight how different the situation truly is. Davis was undersized for Jake, but Joshua is an entirely different level of threat, both in physical stature and in elite level experience. Experts emphasize that Joshua wouldn't treat this as a lighthearted showcase or a novelty event. He would enter the ring looking for a genuine high-level contest where technique, power, and composure are fully tested. That mentality fits perfectly with Joshua's professional mindset, making this matchup very different from the typical celebrity-driven bouts that rely more on spectacle than true competition.
Fight one, yes, that's the former heavyweight champ. Why is he fighting Jake Paul? And two, why is Jake Paul putting his health and well-being on the line? Because someone asked me on Twitter, Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. Again, it's boxing, not MMA. Jake has a little more experience, but we're talking about a massive size difference. AJ's still relatively young and still relatively got something left in the tank, and he's only fought the world-class guys for the last 10 years. This would be Jake's not only hardest fight, most dangerous fight of his career. If Jake is doing this, it could signal the last one. I'm not even joking. This could signal Jake being like, I'm having one more of these and I'm out. Because where do you go from Anthony Joshua? We'll get into that part in a second, but the Netflix thing. We know that Anthony Joshua is an exclusive fighter to DAZN. Eddie Hearn has stated that multiple times. AJ, I'm pretty sure, even has a piece of DAZN. I could be wrong about that, but he signed a mega deal years ago with them. So for this fight to take place on Netflix, would mean DAZN would say, you can have one of our biggest cash draws, and maybe in a revenue share thing, or maybe Netflix pays them some money, but you can have our biggest cash draw and we don't have an affiliation with it. That seems a bit unrealistic. But having said that, this isn't a report from anybody in the camp. This is not MVP saying it. This is not Eddie Hearn saying it. This is Mike Coppinger, who I guess has talked to people in the camp. But an independent source saying that they are finalizing a deal. Not that they're in talks. They are finalizing a deal. So this is, again, we're talking 1 yard line, 1st and goal.
Gareth A. Davies points out one of the most important elements of this entire matchup, the huge physical gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Joshua stands around 6 feet 7 inches and carries significantly more weight than the 6 feet 2 inches Paul, giving him a major advantage in size and overall power. That difference isn't minor. It directly affects game plans, risk levels, and how each fighter would approach the bout. Davies explains that when you combine Joshua's natural physical dominance with his world-class technical ability, Jake Paul will be facing a genuinely tough and dangerous challenge. At the same time, this dramatic mismatch contributes to the fight's massive marketability. For fans, the contrast between sheer size and celebrity momentum adds another layer of intrigue, turning the matchup into both a serious sporting test and a huge commercial event.
I'm not sure Anthony Joshua's going to play the game like everyone else, and it could be fairly calamitous, I think, if Joshua stepped into a ring with Jake Paul, but we're going to watch it because we want to see Jake Paul get knocked the F out. We do, everyone wants to see it. I mean, I've even said it to him. I was looking forward to Mike Tyson him knocking him the fuck out. Doesn't surprise me. He's looking for the biggest names out there, and it just shows that he's prepared to put himself on the line to promote himself.
Would it be more competitive than the Ngannou fight, in your opinion, or less?
That's a very good analogy. It's a very good comparison. Much less competitive. I mean, I think it's got to be at that level of exhibition bout. I think it's a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul. Very dangerous. He's probably got one chance to try and counterpunch. And if he catches Joshua, he might do something, but I see that as 100%.
Another major factor is Joshua's devastating knockout power, which Gareth highlights with colorful comparisons. The kind that make you instantly understand just how explosive Joshua can be. That kind of force isn't just intimidating. It shapes the entire strategy of a fight. Analysts point out that one mistake from Jake Paul could end the bout in an instant, adding both danger and excitement to the matchup. Joshua's ability to generate fight-ending power reinforces the serious athletic stakes involved. It creates a balance between the commercial appeal of the event and the very real, high-level sporting challenge that waits in the ring.
This one, you got a guy who's 6'7" to Jake Paul 6'2", probably weighs 30 pounds more than him if he's 220, and who hits like a blooming mule kicks. So, and you know, yes, Anthony Joshua's had issues against very skilled boxers, and he's been caught by Andy Ruiz, and he's been caught by Alexander Usyk twice, and out-hustled and out-boxed, and knocked out by Daniel Dubois. But Jake Paul is not the kind of not the kind of guy who is going to be able to pick him apart.
Michael Bisping breaks down the risk versus reward equation for Jake Paul with some sharp insight. He points out that Jake is in a rare position where there's virtually nothing to lose. If Paul somehow defeats Anthony Joshua, it would launch him into an entirely new level of fame and respect. But even if he's beaten, his profile still grows. The attention, the headlines, the notoriety all increase regardless of the result. This is very different from the traditional boxing world, where a single loss can set a fighter back or damage their momentum. For Jake, the potential payoff is massive, and the consequences of losing are minimal. That imbalance is exactly why he keeps chasing these huge, attention-grabbing fights.
Out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing. and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him, and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon, or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way.
Even with the massive financial incentives, critics point to a key hurdle in Jake Paul's career, his loss to Tommy Fury. While Fury is relatively new to professional boxing, he still managed to challenge Paul and reveal certain weaknesses. Analysts note that if Paul had trouble with someone of Fury's limited experience, stepping into the ring with a seasoned champion like Anthony Joshua carries even greater risks. This historical context helps temper expectations, showing that fame and big paydays can't entirely make up for gaps in skill or ring experience. Experts have been clear about the unpredictable nature of a Joshua-Paul matchup. While Joshua's size and technical ability are significant advantages, facing an unconventional opponent like Paul requires strategic caution. Joshua would likely need to balance aggression with prudence, asserting control without taking unnecessary risks. This careful approach highlights the broader complexity of blending elite-level boxing talent with celebrity-driven fights, where financial stakes, publicity, and competitive integrity all intersect.
It tells me that this is going to be just an exhibition, and AJ should wipe the floor with him within the first round, right? And if he doesn't, are we getting mugged as punters?
Well, it's on Netflix, so if you've got a net...
No, but whoever's punters, let's say punters, the watching audience, right, around the world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, mate.
I think it's dangerous.
Yeah,
I genuinely think it's dangerous.
Well, but that's
put in a world heavyweight champion.
But then the cynic,
top 4-5 fighters in the world.
Then the cynic in me tells me,
who's never had a proper fight.
Right, the cynic in me straight away goes, I think AJ's probably going to be told, and I don't know this, don't go heavy on him the first.
No, he can't afford to do that. Anthony Joshua can't afford to do that.
Okay, well, that's where I'm wrestling with my own mind right now. You asked me the question. How do I feel about it? I don't know what to make of it, mate. I seriously don't know what to make of it. I seriously don't.
I think it's a joke.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it.
I'll watch it because...
I don't know whether I will, Jay. Honestly, I probably will close the vote. Right now, I don't know whether I will.
For Joshua, stepping into the ring against Jake Paul would demand careful, detailed preparation. While his size and elite knockout ability give him a clear theoretical advantage, analysts caution that Paul's unorthodox style could still create unexpected challenges. Trainers and strategists would likely focus on measured aggression, tactical precision, and picking moments carefully, balancing the lure of a huge payday with the need to protect professional reputation. In many ways, this fight becomes a mixed test, part genuine sporting contest, part high-profile spectacle, and part calculated business move.
Mayweather. No, Mayweather. I didn't watch that. Who fought Mayweather? Oh, it was. I tell you, it was the MMA fight.
Logan Paul. Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
The one that you didn't know the name of, yeah. Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, right?
He fought Floyd, mate.
I didn't watch that one either, right?
I know, but Jake Paul's got a bit more of a bit more boxing credentials. He has. He
What about McGregor? Who did McGregor fight? Did he fight someone? McGregor, have I made that up?
Yeah, I don't know. Where's your head at?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
they all
it's all over the gaff. You gave Andy your number and you gave him the talk.
His name's Adam.
Adam, sorry. You gave Adam the number.
No.
He said 03717 22
I gave him the sports.
You gave him the sports number.
No, but I don't.
Get your head out.
No, I don't know. I don't know whether I will watch it actually. If you want the honest truth.
Well, we asked for some calls and people have phoned up. They're interested in it to have their say. Let's go to Paul, who's a Man United fan. All right, Paul?
All right, P-Dog?
Yeah. You all right? How you doing?
I'm all right, Paul. Look, obviously big news. What do you make of this?
Oh, I think, so I'm a big boxing fan. I think Jake Paul's got a better...
And that wraps up today's video. Make sure to stay tuned for more updates, and we'll catch you in the next one.